I'm pretty sure everyone knows who a vegan is. They're someone who doesn't eat or use animal-derived products. This would usually include meat, eggs, dairy products, and sometimes honey, leather products, and cosmetics, which are being tested on animals. A vegan isn't always an animal rights activist, but you can't really be an animal rights activist and not be vegan. It's hypocritical. A global vegan survey from 2019 revealed that 68.1% of vegans chose to be vegan because of animal cruelty, 17.4% for health reasons, 9.7% for the environment, and 4.8% for a different reason. According to a survey in 2016, the number of vegans in Britain has increased by more than 360% over the last decade. The majority of vegans are under 35s, and it's mostly Gen Zs and millennials, and it reminds me of how young generations are forced to deal with all these environmental and societal issues because of what the older generations left us with. It's sad. Now that this lifestyle is growing in popularity, it seems that more and more people are learning about how it's more than just a diet, just wanting to lose weight, just feeling sorry for the animals. It's an attempt to make our society better and protect the environment, but it's also important not to force this onto others, which is what some influencers feel the need to do, and they end up making the vegan community look bad. Right, let's start with the health-related stuff. Vegan diets are very good for losing weight since they contain less calories and saturated fats. A study in 2016 compared weight loss over 6 months among people who followed vegan, vegetarian, semi-vegetarian, and omnivorous diets, and the vegans ended up losing more weight than others. A study in 2015 showed that a diet full of vegetable fats could improve metabolism, so you'd lose more weight while resting. Vegans tend to have lower blood sugar levels and higher insulin sensitivity, which means you'd have a lower chance of developing type 2 diabetes. A vegan diet can also reduce your chance of contracting various cancers, lower coronary heart disease, and having a stroke. Vegan diets appear to be rich in potassium, magnesium, folate, vitamin A, C, and E. However, poorly planned vegan diets may lack essential fatty acids, vitamin B12, B2, and D, calcium, niacin, iodine, selenium, and zinc. You need to make sure your diet has enough of all those nutrients, or you could buy supplements. If humans can survive without meat, can cats and dogs do the same? Cats can't survive without meat because there are nutrients that they can't survive without, and proteins they can't produce on their own. Without meat, cats would develop fatal diseases. Dogs, on the other hand, can survive without meat, but it's quite easy to get it wrong, and it would require the supervision of a veterinary-trained nutritionist. It's not really recommended unless the dog has some sort of illness, which would require them to have a plant-based diet. In 2017, it was estimated that the carbon emitted from meat consumed by pets was responsible for dumping around 64 million tons of carbon dioxide into the air each year, the equivalent of driving 13 million cars for a year. In 2017, Scientific Journal published a paper which estimated that the US's cats and dogs ate the caloric equivalent of the diet of 63 million Americans. Most vegan dog foods contain yeast, which is made of 40% protein, compared to steak, which is only 30%. Koji fungi grows on wheat, and these cells are more closely related to animal cells than plant cells, and contain the meaty taste that dogs like. And crickets. They contain all 10 of the essential amino acids a dog needs. Crickets are really cool. I'll talk about them more in detail later on. And a bit off topic, but when I was 8 years old, I decided that I wanted to be a vegetarian because I felt sorry for the animals, and I wasn't happy about them getting killed. It was also because I didn't like the taste of meat when I was young, and all I knew was that they were getting killed, and that was that. I told my parents, and they said that a single person won't be able to change anything, and that I won't be healthy if I don't eat meat, so I reluctantly agreed to eat meat again. And they were wrong. Both their statements were wrong. You don't need meat to survive. You need the nutrients found in meat, but you can get them elsewhere. Vegans are perfectly healthy. Research suggests that if everyone went vegan, then this would result in 8.1 million fewer deaths worldwide. This would have projected cost savings of $700 to $1,000 billion per year on healthcare, unpaid care, and lost working days. A study from Oxford University said that if the entire world went vegan, the economic value of these emission savings would be around £440 billion. I have no idea how this works. I don't understand how emissions have a value, but all this money, most of it, is coming from taxes. It could be put towards something else. You know how when you go to the vegan food aisle in shops and you look at the vegan alternatives, you've probably noticed that it's always more expensive than the non-vegan version. Research has shown that a vegan diet costs 31% more. This is because most vegan products aren't mass-produced, so cost of production goes up along with the final price. The price can also go up because the production process is more complex. It's been predicted that the vegan market will reach $31.4 billion by 2026, and the global meat market, an industry worth $1.8 trillion, declined by 3% in 2020 and will continue to decline. A report suggests that by 2040, 60% of our meat could end up being derived from cultured meat or plant-based alternatives. The vegan industry isn't that big yet, but it's growing, so hopefully vegan food will become more affordable in the future. Crickets will play a large part in changing our diets. They're a really common food in Asian countries, but the thought of having insects in your food sounds disgusting to most Westerners. Beef cattle require 8 grams of feed for 1 gram of protein, but crickets only need 2 grams of feed for a gram of protein. They require less water and less space. I wouldn't mind crickets in my food. They sound nice. Going vegan has enormous impact on the environment, in a good way. If one person became vegan, they'll reduce CO2 emissions by 1 ton per year. Methane is 20 times more powerful at trapping heat in the Earth's atmosphere than CO2. A large percentage of methane is created by cows and other livestock. The meat, egg, and dairy industries produce 65% of the worldwide nitrous oxide emissions. Nitrous oxide is 300 times more powerful at trapping heat in the atmosphere. It takes more than 2,400 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of meat, compared to only 25 gallons for 1 pound of wheat. You'd save more water by not eating a pound of meat than you would by not taking a shower for 6 months. A vegan diet requires 300 gallons of water and a non-vegan diet requires 4,000. Animals raised for food create 89,000 pounds of excrement per second. Almost none of it can be treated, so it ends up polluting rivers. Raising animals for food uses 30% of the Earth's landmass. That's the same size as Asia, not including Russia. The equivalent of 7 football fields are bulldozed every minute to create more room for farmed animals, and livestock grazing is the #1 cause of plant species going extinct in the USA. A lot of land is used for livestock, and that land could and should be used for more environmentally friendly crops, restoring wildlife, and replanting whatever has been destroyed. However, arid and semi-arid environments can only be used to raise animals, and developing countries living in these conditions wouldn't be able to reform their land. These areas, raising animals is more efficient than growing crops. And the last topic I have to talk about is animal cruelty, the #1 cause of turning people vegan. Before researching all this, I didn't know it was this bad. It's kind of disturbing. In the dairy industry, all calves have tissue which develop into horns, and farmers use handsaws, searing hot irons, sharp wires, chemicals, guillotine dehorners, and knives, often damaging the surrounding skin, to get rid of the tissue or the developing horn. Females are sometimes drugged and/or genetically modified so they produce more milk. 30 to 50% develop a very painful disease which causes an inflammation of their breast tissue. Up to 50% become lame because of constantly being pregnant and living in a concrete-floored, dirty environment. They are then killed for food after 5 years, which is only a quarter of their normal lifespan. Males are considered to be worthless by the dairy industry, so they are raised for veal. They're kept in cages to keep their flesh tender. They become susceptible to many diseases, and most can't walk because of their muscle atrophy. Then 40 to 50 are crammed into trucks and sent on a 1,000, usually more, mile journey to a slaughterhouse while having to deal with the lack of food and water. In egg-laying factories, chickens have their beaks chopped off without anesthetic so they don't fight each other. In US slaughterhouses, over 600,000 chickens and 17,000 turkeys are chucked into the scalding tanks alive. In other slaughterhouses, killing the animals involves stunning them, and sometimes it's not done properly, so the animals end up getting dismembered while still being alive. It's really disturbing. To summarize everything, vegans don't use or eat animal-derived products, most of them are under 35, Being a vegan has a lot of health benefits, but you might need supplements. Cats can be vegan, dogs can, but it's not recommended. Vegan diets are expensive because those products aren't mass-produced yet, but it's growing. Raising animals uses a lot of water and land, which could be used for other things, and livestock is usually treated horrifically. You don't have to be vegan to help out with these kinds of problems, but knowing about all of this is usually very helpful.